Learn English through story. Entangled desires. Clara Stokes was an ambitious architect with her career, steadily climbing toward success. At 35, she had carefully cultivated her life, a prestigious job, a circle of inspiring friends, and her partner, Simon. They had been together for nearly a decade, bound by mutual respect, shared goals, and the easy familiarity that comes with time. Life with Simon was stable, predictable, a life marked by routines and quiet companionship. To anyone on the outside, Clara's life seemed ideal. Yet, there were days when Clara would sit alone, a quiet ache in her chest that she couldn't quite place. She knew she should feel fulfilled. She had everything she had ever wanted. But as the years went by, the excitement that had once fueled her had slowly faded. Her conversations with Simon were now predictable. Each day, a replica of the last, and she couldn't shake the feeling that she was merely existing, rather than truly living. Her longing for something more lingered beneath the surface, a restlessness that grew stronger each time she walked past a lively restaurant or saw a couple laughing together in the street. It was a feeling she kept hidden, a part of herself she didn't even dare to admit to Simon. Instead, she poured herself into her work, chasing success in the hopes that it would quiet the discontent stirring inside her. Then one summer evening, at a gallery event she attended for a client, she met Damien Rivera. He was a photographer in his early 40s, with a casual charm and an energy that radiated from him. He was nothing like Simon, spontaneous, adventurous, and unapologetically passionate. They struck up a conversation, discussing art, travel, and the complexities of modern life. Clara found herself captivated by his presence, the way he spoke about his work and his philosophy on life. She felt an instant connection with Damien, a pull that she hadn't felt in years. Their conversation flowed easily, an exchange of ideas and laughter that made her feel alive in a way she hadn't in a long time. By the end of the evening, Damien suggested they meet again, and though Clara knew she shouldn't, she found herself agreeing. Their meetings became more frequent, each one a blend of deep conversation and laughter that stirred something inside her. Damien was a stark contrast to the life she shared with Simon. He was unpredictable, full of dreams and daring ideas that made her question the choices she had made. Clara was drawn to him, not just because of his charm, but because he awakened something within her, a part of herself that she had long buried beneath the weight of responsibility and routine. Their connection grew, and soon it became impossible to ignore the attraction simmering between them. Clara found herself lying awake at night, torn between her loyalty to Simon and the undeniable pull she felt toward Damien. She knew it was dangerous, knew she was playing with fire, but the thrill of being around Damien, the excitement he brought into her life, was a temptation she couldn't resist. One evening, after a particularly intense conversation, Damien leaned in and kissed her. Clara didn't pull away. Instead, she let herself melt into the embrace, surrendering to the feelings she had kept bottled up for so long. It was a moment of reckless abandon, a taste of the freedom she had been craving. But as soon as the kiss ended, reality crashed back in. She was betraying Simon, betraying the life they had built together. Clara spent the next few days racked with guilt, her mind a storm of conflicting emotions. She tried to end things with Damien, tried to tell herself that it was just a fleeting attraction, nothing more. But each time she saw him, the pull between them grew stronger, and she found herself drawn back to him, unable to resist the allure of the life he represented. In the weeks that followed, Clara began to live a double life. She would go to work, come home to Simon, and go through the motions of their routine life together. But in stolen moments, she would meet with Damien, indulging in the thrill of their affair, the excitement of a connection that felt raw and real. She knew it was wrong, knew she was risking everything, but the thought of returning to the life she shared with Simon felt suffocating. As her affair with Damien continued, Clara began to see Simon in a new light. She saw the quiet way he supported her, the small gestures of love that she had taken for granted. She realized that Simon was not the problem. The problem was within her, a restlessness that no one could fix but herself. She was looking for something external to fill a void that had nothing to do with Simon. A void that had been there long before Damien came into her life. One evening, after an argument with Damien over his insistence that she leave Simon, Clara found herself alone in her apartment, staring at the life she had built with fresh eyes. She realized that her affair with Damien had not brought her happiness. It had only magnified the emptiness she felt inside. She had been searching for a thrill, for an escape, but all she had found was more confusion, more pain. Desperate for clarity, Clara confided in her closest friend, Mia. She shared everything: the affair, her feelings for Damien, her guilt over betraying Simon. Mia listened quietly, her face a mixture of empathy and disappointment. "You know, Clara," Mia said gently, "you've been searching for something to fill a void, but no one can do that for you, not Simon, not Damien. You need to figure out what you really want, not just run after the thrill of something new." Her words struck Clara like a revelation, forcing her to confront the reality she had been avoiding. She had been using Damien as a distraction, a way to escape the deeper issues she had refused to face. She realized then that the choice she faced wasn't between Simon and Damien. It was between continuing to run from herself or facing the truth about her own desires and fears. That night, Clara went home to Simon and confessed everything. She told him about Damien, about the affair, about the restlessness that had driven her to seek something outside their relationship. She expected anger, expected him to walk out or shout, but instead, Simon listened quietly, his face a mixture of hurt and sadness. "I thought we were happy," he said finally, his voice heavy with emotion. "I thought we were building a life together." Clara felt her heart break, realizing the depth of the pain she had caused. She wanted to apologize, to promise that she would make things right, but she knew that words could never erase the betrayal. She had made choices that had hurt the man who had loved her unconditionally, and there was no undoing that. In the weeks that followed, Clara moved out, giving Simon the space he needed to heal. She ended things with Damien, realizing that their affair had been a symptom of her own inner turmoil, not the solution she had hoped it would be. Alone in her new apartment, Clara faced the reality of her choices, the consequences of the life she had been trying to escape. She threw herself into her work, her friendships, seeking solace in the things that had once brought her joy. But the weight of her actions lingered, a constant reminder of the damage she had caused. She began seeing a therapist, hoping to understand the emptiness that had driven her to make such reckless choices, to find a way to heal the wounds within herself. Through painful, honest conversations, Clara came to realize that her restlessness was not a flaw, but a sign of her own unmet needs. She had spent years building a life based on what she thought she should want, rather than what truly made her happy. She had been afraid to take risks, to confront the parts of herself that longed for something more. As she worked through her feelings, Clara began to rebuild her life with a new sense of purpose. She explored her interests, took up painting, and even began volunteering at an art center. She learned to find fulfillment within herself, rather than seeking it in someone else. She became more self-aware, more attuned to her own desires and needs, no longer afraid to embrace the parts of herself that craved passion and excitement. Months turned into years, and though the scars of her past mistakes remained, Clara found a new kind of peace. She and Simon eventually reconnected, not as lovers, but as friends who had shared a significant part of their lives. They both acknowledged the mistakes they had made, the ways they had hurt each other, and forgave one another. It was a quiet, mutual understanding that allowed them to move forward, free from the weight of resentment. Clara's journey taught her the importance of self-awareness, of understanding her own needs and desires before seeking fulfillment in someone else. She learned that true happiness could only be found by embracing her own identity, by building a life that reflected her values and passions, rather than clinging to a relationship out of fear or convenience. Her story became a reminder of the dangers of seeking external validation, of chasing after fleeting desires in the hopes of filling an internal void. She had learned, through painful experience, that real fulfillment came from within, from living authentically and embracing the full spectrum of her own desires and ambitions. In the end, Claire's journey was one of self-discovery, a path marked by mistakes and regrets, but also by growth and resilience. She had faced her own flaws, confronted the parts of herself she had long ignored, and emerged stronger, wiser, and more at peace. And though she would always carry the memory of her past choices, she found a quiet strength in the lessons they had taught her, a newfound clarity that guided her as she continued to build a life that truly reflected who she was. I hope you enjoyed the story. If you enjoy, then please like and share this video. And don't forget to subscribe our YouTube channel.